Welcome back to the channel, Retro Freaks. Another ranking video. Yes. We've had a few people say, quit making ranking videos, but hey, they're a good time, and this one is for Nintendo fanboys and gamers alike. We're going to rank all the Nintendo controllers, but there is a little bit of a caveat here to be involved in this ranking.
Yes, there is. So there's 7. We're ranking the home controller consoles, but we're only doing the original, the one that came in the box when it first released, you know. So for the NES, just the square one. Super Nintendo, just the regular. Just the Wii Motion, you know, the Wii U tablet, just the basics. I know there's a ton of variants and third parties and all these other controllers, but we made it simple.
So for the Wii U, no Pro controller.
Yep.
For the Wii, no Classic controller. For the Switch, no Pro controller, just what came in the box when you bought the console. Let's go ahead and start this thing off. The first one I see on the list is the Super
Nintendo controller.
No particular order here, by the way.
This is an awesome controller. It added shoulder buttons. It added 2 more buttons, you know, on the face. I love the way it feels. Also, I love the colors, especially in North America, the purple colors. I know it's different colors in other areas, but
so
this is a great controller.
Yeah, and I think the PAL region and stuff doesn't have the concaved and convex buttons. I think they're all convex. But I do like that. It had a different feel to it. Another thing that I think goes in the favor of this controller is we're determining where we rank it, and it's the first go. So this will move, and there's going to be some fluidity throughout this episode. But I think this really laid the groundwork for so many controllers that followed. Like if you look at the Sony PlayStation 1 controller and even the modern controllers today, let's just call it, you know, Xbox and all that stuff, the 4 face buttons is standard.
Dude, this is what kind of started the 4 face
Now, we're up to 4 shoulder buttons, but shoulder buttons now, they are a standard. This took the simplicity and everything that the NES controller did, and it took it to the next level. Now, we're not talking about the NES controller, but the square dynamic of that does dig into the hands a little bit. I've heard people complain about that. It's never bothered me because I grew up with it. But they rounded the edges, very sleek. To this day, companies like 8-Bit Do and things like that are putting out controllers of this form factor.
I think it's one of the best retro controllers because you can play so many different styles of games with it. You can play NES games with it because it's only, you know, you only need 2 buttons. You can play Super Nintendo games. It's so versatile. It's great. I love the way it feels.
And I know a lot of people that use theirs on the Switch or the NES Classic. They use their SNES Classic controller.
It works great
because they like the feel. It's got more of that dog bone feel.
So I think, man, we're starting off strong. I think Super Nintendo, second.
I'm good with that.
Just for now. You know, just for now.
I'm good with that.
That's a really strong place. Next, moving up is the most modern Nintendo console, the Nintendo Switch.
For now. There's rumors of the Switch too, don't you know?
Yeah, what are those controllers going to be like? But then in the box for the Switch, it came with these Joy-Cons. Which I don't like. I play my Switch with a Pro controller, and it is fantastic. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the Joy-Cons. These are weird. There's gyro in them. I feel like I'm going to break them. I do like how they come in different colors, because it kind of reminds me of the N64 era. And you can turn them sideways, and they work like that. I don't know. What do you think about the Joy-Con?
I appreciate what they were going for. I like the versatility because it came with that little. The original Switch came with that slider, so it felt like
can be a controller.
With the grip, you know, it felt like a Pro controller. Then you had those other slider bars, so that this could be played on the go. Like this is my controller, right? Playing it like this.
It is nice, you know, because you can play it handheld and then take it off and play it on the go with the screen.
Versatile. Hate the feel. Most people that play the Switch on the go that are more hardcore about it, I feel like have either got the Hori Pro Grip or Split Pad, whatever the hell it's called, or some other third-party variant to replace these. Now, we also got to talk about, we can't not bring this up with these, the issues that there have been with stick drift. I haven't experienced it.
I haven't experienced it because I don't play with the Joy-Cons as much. I think people that have a Switch and are hardcore on the Switch and they play with the Joy-Con a ton, drift is a major issue.
I think most people that are really into the Switch, and I think we're the same, is it fair to say, we only use these to get by in a pinch. Like if we had 4 people over and one of our controllers died, we would keep playing and give them these with the slider. But it's only to get you by in a pinch or if you're on the road and you don't have your split pad.
And it sucks because you can do it. You can just use half the controller, you know, and there is shoulder pads, but the controller is so small, you don't get 4 shoulder pads. You only get 2 shoulder pads. And it's just, Every time I have to play with the Joy-Con, I just go, okay, so I'm just going to lose this game. You know, I just always blame the controller, even though I suck at the game. But I don't know. It feels really small.
Yep. The buttons are tiny. The joysticks are tiny. I don't like the feel.
I do play it in handheld mode, you know, because it's convenient.
I give it some props for innovation, for versatility.
Colors.
That's makes it fun. But man, my gut's saying this goes in at 7th right now.
You're thinking bottom barrel.
Right now.
Okay. Let's piss some people off. Bottom barrel. Switch. Moving on to another weird controller by Nintendo. The 3-prong N64 Controller. This is another one that came with really cool colors, but the controller itself is the same controller. I don't understand how they came up with this design. Like 3 hands. I don't get it.
Yeah.
But I grew up with it, so I know how to play it, and I do have nostalgia for it. It is cool with the Rumble Pack and all that stuff.
I've never hated it. But to your point, I grew up with it.
Yeah.
We did a Mario Kart event a while back where we had all the eras of Mario Kart set up on the type of TV that you would have played them on back in the day. And there were numerous little kids that were like, how do I hold this?
Yeah, they literally were asking because they had never played one before. Yeah.
So, but I do also appreciate that it came and it had the Rumble Pack feature. I believe those were the first controllers with like, some sort of feedback. And that was really, really cool. For the first jump into 3D, it seemed to make sense at the time. I think it's only as time has passed. I don't remember back in the day when the N64 came out, anybody bitching about the controller.
No, I don't. It's a modern thing that we're complaining about.
But it is a controller. You can't take this away that all these third-party companies in 2023 are releasing controllers to improve it that have a modern form factor. So like nobody cared or disliked it at the time, but over time it just has kind of been a relic of the time that if you didn't grow up that way, that's not how you want to play your N64 games. Personally, I still like playing my N64 games.
If we're playing the N64, I do want to have this. Like if we're playing No Mercy, or I do want to play like this, GoldenEye. But like we said with the Switch, this is notorious for freaking having a limp stick.
Yeah.
You know, especially back in the day, if you're playing Mario Party, dude, that was
that first Mario Party.
So like
wrecked.
And if the stick goes limp on these, you're ruined. Like you can still get a buy with the D-pad and stuff on some games. But it's
there have been companies come out with adequate replaceable sticks, which is nice.
It is nice.
But it is something. Anytime we have found an N64 in the wild, it's like, dude, check the stick.
Check the stick,
controller.
And if it's loose, we're not picking it up.
Yeah.
It's got to be. Luckily, all the ones that we have super tight sticks because we're super gentle with our controllers. It is nice that the introduction of the Z, on the back, which kind of I think is the foreshadow of the Wii controller. Yeah. This is a weird controller. I don't know where we want it. I don't know where we want to put it.
I'm thinking
kind of middle.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Fourth, fifth.
I'll put it in
something like that.
I'll put it in 4th for now. Next up, I just hinted at it, the Nintendo freaking Wii.
Yeah, so this is how they packed in with the Wii. You got the Nunchuck, and then you got the Wii Mote. Man, super innovative at the time.
Yeah,
this was the introduction to motion controls, and like love them or hate them. There was a lot of people that were in the hate camp. There was a lot of people that were in the love camp. But it did change the game in the fact that Sony had to follow up and came out with the PlayStation Move. Xbox had to follow up and come out with the Kinect.
Yes.
It was a disruptor. If no other way that you feel can argue that this disrupted the gaming scene.
I mean, yeah, the Nintendo Wii sold so many consoles because the controls were simple and easy enough that anybody could figure them out. It was super easy. Mom, grandma, we've talked about the Wii a ton. Everybody could figure it out. Super easy. And what's really nice, it's versatile. You got the Nunchuck, but then also if you unplug it sideways, it's basically an NES controller.
You can play your NES games just like this.
It's freaking perfect. It is awesome too for light gun games.
Yeah.
I love light gun games on the Wii. Yep. That is nice.
You get a little deal to put it in. We've done light gun episodes. Go watch them if you care to. But boom, made a good light gun console.
Freaking sweet. It is kind of nice. Like if you're gaming and you have a Nunchuck, you can just kind of relax, go like this, I played Mario Kart, Smash like that. It's a really innovative controller.
It is, but the one drawback I will say is, and I think this holds true, I felt this at the time, I still feel it today. The games that this works well on, it works really well on. Yes. Like Mario Galaxy, I don't want to play it on the 3D All-Stars collection on the Switch. I want to play it with this. It just works.
Because that's what it was made for. It was made for these controls.
But there were so many other games and it just it felt tacked on. It felt like the third-party developers especially just had to kind of force them in there. But there are some third-party games where it does thrive, like the Call of Duties. It's a different experience when you actually are, shooting.
It's really kind of cool. It adds a new experience.
Yeah.
I will say, if I'm playing my Wii today, I kind of lean towards not playing with the Wii Mote. I'll play with a Wii Classic or a GameCube controller if I have a backwards compatible Wii. It was cool in the time.
Yeah.
And it's really nice because we still use this controller a ton because we play Wii Bowling a ton. And so when you're using motion and the motion works, it's a great controller.
Yeah.
But for everything else, I don't know. I think it's worse than the N64 controller.
I think I would agree. Even though it was innovative, a lot of good things that it did. I think we either dropped in at 4th or 5th as a starting point.
I'll do 5th. I'll do 5th for now.
Next on the docket, the good old GameCube controller. Let's talk about this bad boy.
Oh, dude, the GameCube controller is one of my favorite controllers. It's so awesome. Literally, almost every Nintendo console that offers the GameCube controller, that's what I use. I use it on the GameCube. I use it on the Wii, like I already mentioned. I use it on the Wii U. I use it on the Switch because the GameCube adapters. Like, I play so many games with this controller. I love the way it fits. I know some people with bigger hands say it's a little small, but I don't have big hands, so it's not an issue for me. I love this controller so much.
I just love it. Of all the controllers, I love how it feels in the hand. The only thing's a little goofy when you go from various controllers, the face buttons.
Yeah, because you're like, where's X and B and
and you know, this C stick, if you're using it like a modern controller as your like right stick, it's a little goofy.
It doesn't, but I usually am not playing games that require that, you know.
But man, you want to talk about a controller that has staying power. I mean, they're releasing wireless Switch controllers that are formed like the GameCube. Yep. They got the retro bit stuff coming out.
The Wavebird, you know, which is in this controller. I think is known as, and the fact that they've released adapters so you can play real GameCube controllers on the Wii U and Switch. That just proves like.
And they've re-released this exact controller wired. Nintendo has on the Wii U and on the Switch.
Yeah, because we have the Smash Bros. On it. That's awesome. That's so badass. I think everybody knows that this controller, the form factor it's fantastic.
And I could be wrong in looping Mario Kart in here, but for sure this is universally the Smash controller.
Yes.
Like, you play Smash Brothers, tournament players, they play with this controller, even the new stuff. And I know a lot of Mario Kart 8 people that rock with this.
Yeah, I play. And if I'm playing a different controller, I feel like I play differently. Like the GameCube controller is just, it's so good.
I mean, the staying power. You know, I look at like the Super Nintendo controller as having a lot of staying power in the sense that it's been mimicked so much that every controller has a shred of that controller's integrity
of that
in
design,
its But nobody's really imitated this, but this has stayed on the scene for 20 plus years and it's still relevant. And I wouldn't be shocked if Nintendo's next console has plugins for GameCube controllers, not on the console, but like an adapter.
Yeah, I'm sure like a USB adapter or something. I'm sure that this.
I think it's here to stay.
I think the GameCube controller is my favorite controller of all time. So I kind of want to put it in first. I don't know what you're thinking. If you want to fight about it later.
I think we do. I'm okay at second.
Oh, you want to put it at second?
Second, tied. Okay. Yeah, because I think there's a battle to be had between that and
Super.
Because
I'm leaning, man, GameCube is one of my favorites.
I think we fight that battle another day or another time in this video.
Next up is the OG, the NES Controller.
Old Faithful.
Yes. I grew up with this, you grew up with this. Freaking rectangle, simple, 2 buttons, D-pad, that's all it is. This controller, I know it's freaking weird in the shape, but I love it. I love it so much.
I'm so nostalgic for it.
So nostalgic.
I've never, I've got one. I've never been a dog bone controller person.
I play with a dog bone occasionally, but it doesn't feel the same.
I just love this controller. This is what I grew up with. It feels right. It's never dug into my hands just because I'm so used to how it feels. The D-pad is incredible. Yeah. You know, from this generation, and this is probably going to piss some people off, but if you compare the Master System D-pad to this, I mean, it's not even close. And people are
off the
Master System's better than the NES. This is all I got to say. That's all I got to say to you. The other thing about this, and most of these controllers have decent durability, but you cannot kill these. Sometimes you got to clean them, repad them, but these controllers will outlive everybody watching this video. Yep. It'll outlive us.
It's so simple and it's so great, and it's so awesome. Like, I played so many games on this. You can pound it to death when you're playing like a shmup or a run and gun, and it just keeps going. It's
so precise. All you need.
Precision is
it is, because those NES games, NES hard, you got to be dialed, and this is going to get you there. You don't need anything else. It's epic. It started kind of the what the Super did took this, I think, to the next level. But man, D-pads are essential. The buttons, the start start and select, for pause. It's how you pause. There's controllers that came out that didn't have a pause on them before this, guys. I mean, that's a big deal. It doesn't say pause, it says start, but I think everybody calls it the pause button. And this is from an era when people called controllers paddles.
Yeah, this is the OG paddle, dude.
Yeah, the NES paddle.
It could be because I grew up with it and I have huge nostalgia, but NES is one of my favorite controllers as well, just because of...
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, the versatility, the simplicity, and also, like, we have wireless NES controllers for the Switch.
Yep.
We also have wireless Super Nintendo controllers, but when I'm playing NES games, I want an NES controller. Like, I don't want any other controller, and it's just...
And if you got a Wii with classic NES games on it, and you have the NES Classic, you can plug that controller into the bottom of Wiimote and just play your NES games.
It's freaking perfect.
But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about where this ranks on the list.
Man, NES controller, it's got to be up at the top somewhere.
It does. It started it all.
Where do you want to put it?
I feel like dumping it into third.
I was thinking third too, because I think Super Nintendo is just a notch above it. All right, third for that NES controller.
We're down. This is the weirdest controller to come with the console as its base controller. Now, the Wii U did offer support for the Wii Mote and Nunchuck. Yeah. It offered support for a Pro controller, which is badass.
Yeah.
Pro controller's like on the level with any Pro controller ever, even the Switch Pro controller. But we're not here to talk about that. What it came with as its main controller was a game pad with a screen.
The tablet. This is so innovative because 2-screen, you could play games, you could play DS games, 3DS games. I love the tablet, and especially when we're doing co-op and it has a split screen, it is fantastic.
And it feels good.
I love the way it feels because it's chunky, it's durable, the joysticks feel great. It doesn't feel like this. When I'm playing the Switch in handheld, I feel like I'm going to break it. I'm not going to break that.
But before we can put this in number one, we do need to talk about its drawbacks. So, I love the pad. I love the games that utilize it well. But that was few and far between, the games that utilized it well. Some third-party games, we even have a video on that, used it impeccably, and it made that version of the game the best version of the game, in my opinion. But, where this was a swing and a miss, the range was piss poor. I think people thought when they got this that they would be able to go clear down in the basement, the garage, or whatever, and still play their Wii U games.
You can't go...
Maybe a room away.
Maybe a room, you can't even explore your house with it, which kind of sucks because you're like, oh, handheld. This is kind of the innovation of, handheld Nintendo, but it's home console. But yeah, you couldn't.
It was the conduit for what we ended up getting for the Switch. You can't take that away from it. Another drawback is for most folks by now, if you haven't replaced the battery inside, the battery life is trash.
No, it sucks.
Now, there is a port on the top so you can play it plugged in to keep its charge, or you can replace the battery. I think we did that in a video once to show you how to do that.
It's not that hard to replace the battery. We've done it.
Pretty easy. But it was like so close, but so far away. I love what they were doing. I don't think we would have the Switch had this not happened. It was like kind of a failed experiment. And you guys, if you've been around on the channel, you know we love the Wii U. We've sang its praises up and down. But for this to be the main controller
for the entire console
was a little goofy.
Well, I do want to bring up real quick, it's really cool because this was the introduction of amiibos. Yeah. And it's cool because you can just scan them straight onto the tablet.
Yeah.
And that was a cool innovation. There's like a thing you can like blow into it for certain games. Like you could do a lot of stuff with it.
It was ahead of its time.
It was
for sure.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And in typical Nintendo fashion, like they did with the Wii, like they've done with the Switch, there was nothing on the market like this. There was not.
Very unique.
It was just a unique way, and I did appreciate, you already brought it up, but you could download DS games and still have that 2-screen experience.
Which is freaking fantastic.
Because I struggle with a small handheld console, so it was really cool to be able to do that.
There's a lot of amazing games we love the Wii U. But when we are playing like a heavy duty, like a first person shooter or something, I want a Pro controller on the Wii U.
Yeah.
If we're playing like a Mario game, I'm fine with the tablet. Or a split screen, I'm fine with the tablet. But usually I'm going Pro controller on the Wii U. Yeah. So I think that does dock it because I'd rather play on a Pro,
You brought up split screen. I know some people watching this maybe haven't seen all of our other 600 videos. I realize that. But there are certain games that you play, like first-person shooters, split screen, and someone can just solely be on the tablet and on the screen, so you can't say, hey, you're screen watching.
Yeah,
that was really cool.
It's really cool, and it's nice you have your own full screen. Obviously, one person's looking down, one person's looking up, but that's still really cool. Mm-hmm. And then obviously, like Nintendo Land was kind of a tech demo for it. I like it, but I also like the Pro controller better. So I don't know where we want to put this? It's definitely above the Switch for sure.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's probably in that 4th, 5th, 6th zone. We're gonna have to really.
I'm gonna put it in 5th with the Wii.
Yeah.
For now, and now we got some work to do. We got a C on the board, and we got to make it into a line.
Yeah. All right.
Let's work our way up. So Switch locked in at 7. I'm good with that. We need a 6th spot. Wii versus Wii U.
Man, I think. I don't know what you're thinking. The Wii U tablet is so cool, but the Wii U still needed to rely on Wii U motion controls for certain things, or Wii motion controls rather.
Yeah, that is true.
The motion controls stand the test of time. They still work. Most people still are rocking Wii bowling with those damn things, even though a lot of people were throwing them through their TV and stuff. Yeah. And I love the Wii U so much more than the Wii, but I think the shortcomings that the tablet had it been able to be carried around the house and play, had the battery life been dialed in, we maybe be having a different conversation. Had it had better support across the entire library of the console. But I kind of feel like, man, you can't kill those Wiimotes. And I know going forward, the hard part about collecting a Wii U is going to be finding a tablet that isn't all dicked up from some little kid.
Yeah, from scratches and stuff.
Yeah.
As much as, man, it sucks because I want to fight for the Wii U.
I know.
And I'd rather play the Wii U than the Wii. But we're talking about controllers, and we just got to narrow it down to controllers. Man, I think you are right. I think the Wii U has to drop down to 6th, and the Wii stays in 5th.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks to do, but I think that's the right answer.
I think
that's the right answer. Wii U 6.
So now are we good with this N64 Wii scenario? For me, the N64 controller has never bothered me. It still doesn't bother me in 2023. I know some modern gamers it can. The Wii motion controls, they work well when they work, and for the games that were designed with them in mind, the N64 never stopped me from playing the N64. Or the N64 controller never stopped me from playing the N64. Wii Mote and Wii Motion kept me from playing the Wii for a lot of years because I was just like, I'm not pissing around.
Yeah, you're like, I'm not going to deal with motion. I think the N64 controller is better, and just because like if I'm going to fire up the Wii and it doesn't require motion, I'm going to use a different controller. If I'm going to play the N64, I want the N64 controller.
And I don't want that new retro
bullshit. I want
the Brooklyn Brawler.
Yeah, I want this OG.
Yeah.
Even though it's weird, I still love it.
I guess what made me fall in love with the Wii was the rail shooter light gun type of stuff you can do with the Wiimote.
Yep. Which is awesome.
But other than that, and there's a select set of games, right? Skyward Sword, Mario Galaxy, that I love the motion controls. But to your point, if it's not a rail shooter or one of those hand-picked little games, I'm playing with a different controller.
I'm not using the freaking Wiimote, so I think that's locked in at 5th. I think N64 is pretty good above it, and I do think NES is better than the N64.
I do.
So now
it's classic.
Now it's fighting time.
Yeah.
See, you have huge nostalgia for the Super Nintendo and the Super Nintendo controller. I didn't grow up with one. I don't have nostalgia for it. I do love the controller. It's fantastic. I didn't grow up with a GameCube either, but my neighbors had one. I just think the game, if we're talking about controllers, man, I think the GameCube is...
So it's 1A, 1B. That's why we do ranking lists and not tier lists, because that would be so easy for us to say that's S tier. I don't want to do that. We have to decide.
Yeah, I think they're both amazing controllers. They're both fantastic.
The staying power, this when you see modern controllers that still use this form factor that are maybe third party, they have to add that second set of shoulder buttons.
Yeah.
God, I love this, but I think it's remarkable, and I don't know that this has ever been this way, that such a unique controller has stayed around for 20 years and is still super, super relevant.
Yeah.
And for that reason, because of the form factor, feel, and how they play, I probably can't decide. But for the reason that this controller, I'll be shocked if the new Switch, whatever it's called, doesn't have support for the GameCube controller.
The only thing that sucks about both of these controllers and in the modern scene is you don't have the double shoulder buttons. Even on the GameCube, you only have.
But those wireless Switch ones do.
Oh yeah, it does.
They added them,
which is really nice. But that doesn't count.
Yes.
So we got to talk about the OG.
Yeah.
But I still use this on modern games, and it doesn't the games that I play it on, that doesn't affect me. You know, I can figure it out. Man,
it's tough.
I really think GameCube is my favorite controller of all time, dude.
I'm not going to fight you hard on that. It's really good. Every time we play Mario Kart 8, that's what we're using. When we play Smash, that's what we're using. I can't say that for every time we play the NES, we aren't finding a way to use a Super Controller. We aren't, you know, we use the GameCube controller. On everything that we can use it on, we do.
Yeah. Every time we play the Wii, sometimes on the Wii U, the Switch, obviously GameCube. Yeah, it's fantastic. And Super Nintendo is, you know, an incredible controller.
Yeah. I don't think there's been an applicable controller for 4 generations ever. For 4 freaking generations. Now you could argue Sony's form factor stayed pretty close to the same, but no, we're talking the exact same controller. Works on 4 different Nintendo consoles.
And the fact that they released official Switch GameCube, you know, that's wild because the GameCube is 20 years old. You know, so that just proves how awesome it is. Can we lock it in number 1?
Let's go.
There we go. GameCube number 1, SNES 2, NES 3rd, 4th, N64 5th. Wii sucks. We use it 6th, and then last but not least, well, maybe least, is
the Joy-Cons.
Joy-Cons. They suck.
That was a little tougher than I thought.
That was really tough, and it's kind of weird because it's like, you know, Generation 6 and then old school, and then it's kind of all over.
Yeah, all over the place. I think people might get a little twisted about where we have the N64 controller.
I think people are going to say, why is that lower it?
Yeah. But hey, that's what's fun about these. Everybody's opinion is different. Fire off in the comment section below. We love hearing how you would rank these. This is our ranking. GameCube taking the cake. And you know what? I think this was our number 1 controller way back when Moby Dick was a minnow, and we did a top 5 controller.
I think we did
video.
a top 5. Yeah, the staying power is incredible. Obviously, man, Nintendo controllers, I love them. Just the innovation. Look at the variety. That's wild. Most Xbox, PlayStation, they all going to look the same, you know.
Let us know what you think. If you were wondering what we were drinking today, it is Draugust here in Gaming Off the Grid. So we're not going to do a full beer review, but I will say the non-alcoholic Sam Adams, just the haze, best non-alcoholic beer I've tried.
Yeah, we're trying some non-alcoholic beer this month because we're not drinking. This tastes like a generic hazy beer that you would get at like Applebee's, and that's great.
And we like Applebee's.
And that's great if you're not drinking beer, and it's less than 100 calories.
Yeah.
You know, so that's pretty good. And the color, I think this is the best non-alcoholic beer we've tried. We'll probably try a few more throughout the month, you know.
So, anyway, it's Draugust. How would you rank the controllers? Let us know in the comments below. We'll see you next time right here on the one and only Gaming Off the Grid.